Hey everyone, and welcome back to Small Engine Edge. Today we're going to talk about one of the biggest steps in growing your small engine repair business, and that is moving into a commercial location. The right location can grow your profits, it can quickly increase your sales and your customers, but the wrong location can slow you down, it can frustrate people, and turn people away from your business. I'm going to go over some of the things that I'm looking for as we're trying to expand our location to Clarksville, Tennessee, and some of the lessons I've learned with just purchasing our location here. Some of the mistakes I've made have cost me big along the way to get this far. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons as we go along if you enjoy the content. The first thing you need to figure out is what type of space you need. If you've only got a few hundred square feet right now and you're doing mostly mobile repair and you're focusing on like landscaping customers, you may not need a storefront. You might not need that visibility of Main Street USA where you want to have retail sales. You may be just fine with a warehouse space somewhere that's got 800 to 1,000 square feet where you've got plenty of room to work if you're doing pickup and deliveries and stuff and bringing things back and forth to customers. But if you're wanting to focus on homeowners and a storefront, you're going to need that visibility. You're wanting to look at something that's going to be on Main Street or a main road, lots of traffic, because you can get those homeowners to stop in if they see a nice shop along their daily route or along a route they take. But if you're focusing on those landscapers or contractors or things that you don't really need those retail locations for, there's no reason to pay for that visibility because that visibility costs you big. Those commercial locations and those spots, whether you're going to own or lease it, are going to cost you a lot more money than getting something that's far off the road or in a warehouse district that may be a little bit more out of the way. We want a retail location. We want something we can set up and we can sell at least a few miscellaneous parts, do parts sales, and then we want those homeowner customers. Those are our big base, at least here. Maybe that'll change once we get to our new location. But the visibility versus functionality, the costs of those are going to differ a lot. Whether you're talking about the price of that location or the lease or rent of that location, they're going to be a lot higher in those high traffic areas where you may or may not need that depending on your operation. So figure out whether you need all that visibility or whether you're fine with something off the beaten path. Shop size and layout is a very important one also because you need enough room if you're going to have a retail location for customers to sit and wait. You need room for parts storage, for zero turn, riding mowers, snow blowers. All of those things take up space if you're storing them for people waiting on parts or whatever the case is. You need room for your equipment, for your layout of your work areas where your workbenches are, different areas for presses or grinders or vices. You need all these different areas and enough space to do it. If it's got a poor layout or it doesn't have the electrical that you need or it doesn't have as high a ceilings as you need, there's a lot of things that you've got to pay attention to when going into different leases or when trying to buy a commercial building. How many upgrades do you need to do before it's ready for what you need? How open is it? Do you have to move things in and out every day before you can even get started to work? I mean, here we've got 4,000 square feet, but during the busy season, I mean, we spend a half an hour, 45 minutes every day just moving things out in order to get started. And that's not to mention bringing them back in every night. So that's an hour or so wasted every single day of time. And that's just during the busy season, of course. Most of the other times of the years, we kind of pack them to the sides where we don't have to move as much in and out. But a poor layout can cost you a lot. It can cost you a lot of time, and moving things around in and out, when you're eating up, when we were out of our garage, eating up 3 or so hours a day, moving in and out, that's just, it doesn't make any sense. You're losing money doing that. So choose something with a good layout that's going to work for you and that has all of those electrical upgrades. It has all of the things that you need as far as space goes. If you don't have enough space, it's not going to work. And that includes outside storage. Some things you don't want to have to move in and out constantly. So check with the landlord if you're going to be renting or leasing and make sure that it's something where you can have outside storage of certain things. Otherwise, if it's fenced in or whatever it is, you've got to make sure that also the local zoning laws will support you running your small engine repair business out of there. That's one of the huge ones. And that's one of the ones I've had a lot of trouble with because around here, there's almost no areas where you can run a small engine repair business. You've got to be in what they call a B1 location, which means like main highway business district business location, which is understandable. You don't want something like that located in a residential area where you're right in the middle of houses and stuff with people complaining. But at the same time, there's plenty of houses around here, but it is a noisier area of town. Pick those wisely. Make sure that you're looking at a location or purchasing a location that's going to allow that. If you're looking to build something, that's a whole nother ball game. We actually bought a location. It was kind of closer to downtown Bloomington. It was zoned right and everything. Tried to build something. One zoning rule changed everything for us. We had 180 foot of road frontage on one side and 90 foot on the other side. They wanted us to put curb and gutter in if we were doing a building there. Nothing around it had curb and gutter, but the cost of that ruined the whole project. I mean, when you add that cost to the cost of everything else we were throwing in, it just didn't make sense at that point. And that was an oversight on our part. We didn't think that was going to be required since there was nothing else down there. This is an old business or warehouse district that does not have any of that. We did not think anything when we were talking to the engineers and stuff that was going to be a requirement at all. Even though it was code, most times you can work with the city around those things, but they didn't want anything to do with it. So we ended up losing quite a bit of money on that property. Don't buy property without doing full research and getting full plans together, because you will run into issues like that and cost yourself a bunch of money if you're trying to build a location for yourself. We've done it, and it is not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not planning on building anything anytime soon. I'm going to buy something that's already up and ready to go. If you're dealing with a landlord and you're trying to figure out if a location will work, be upfront with them about everything you're going to be doing. You don't want to sign a lease and then figure out later, hey, you're not supposed to be doing those things here. Some landlords are weird about things that go on, or people parking or moving in and out, lots of traffic, whatever. But you've also got to be aware that you're going to need plenty of space for people to turn in with trucks and trailers, people to park for loading and unloading. You're going to need a lot more space than what you're actually thinking if you're thinking about growth. Because otherwise, if you're on a cul-de-sac, you got one person turning in to unload, then you got another person coming in. People don't know how to drive. They don't know how to park. You want plenty of space. That's what I love about here. We've got areas that go down both sides, and we've got an alley down the back. Wide open, plenty of parking. It works out great for us, but there's plenty of space for those customers, especially the ones that don't know how to drive and probably shouldn't be driving a trailer sometimes, or at least you would think. Rent is just the beginning. You need to factor in a lot of other things. The build out of the space, lighting. Most places don't have nearly adequate lighting to run a small engine repair company. Adding a bunch of lighting is going to cost money. See if the landlord is going to build out that for you. See if they'll build these things that you need. If you need additional electricity or lighting or need a different layout, see if they'll take care of that and you can build that into the rent or the lease. If you can, that's wonderful. But the build out of the space is going to be expensive most times. Different lifts and your benches and all of the things that go along with that. If you need a larger air compressor, putting in the air lines, all of that stuff can normally, if you have a good landlord, be built right into that. And it'll just add a few dollars a month to the rent or to the lease that you're paying each month. You've got utilities. You're going to have to pay for that lighting, pay for all the electricity that goes along with it, heat and AC, which on large buildings can add up rather quickly. You've got commercial insurance that goes along with that is going to be a lot more expensive than just running out of your garage. Property taxes, if you are purchasing the building and it's not escrowed into your payment, you'll have to do those. And then you've got maintenance. Whether it's a lease space or an owned space, you're still going to have to maintain a lot of that stuff. If it's a landlord-owned space, most times if it's something that you're kind of tearing up in the way of doing your business, they're going to require you to pay for those things. If you're putting great wear and tear on whatever the building aspect part of it is, they're not going to want to pay for fixing those things as the wear and tear tears it up. Lots of bad landlords. There's lots of low rent can turn into a situation where that rent becomes very costly in other ways. So you've got to be very specific to read that lease. You've got to make sure you know what you're getting into. Otherwise, you can be trapped in something that's going to completely set your business back, and it's going to drain your pockets and not allow you to make a whole bunch of money. If you sign that lease and then can't fulfill that lease or need to get out of it early because you've grown too fast, you've chose too small of a building. My wife actually wanted me to go into a 500 square feet building when we were moving out of the house. Like, that's not any bigger than my 2-car garage I've got right now. It's never going to work. And it was close to a main location. Everything was real tight. That's when we bought those lots and tried to build something. But anyway, it was a hard road. And it may be for you also as you're trying to choose something, but just keep looking. Eventually that will pop up. We looked at this building originally before buying those lots, and we decided it was too much work to open everything up. The price was a little too expensive, but all it took is a little bit of negotiation to get the price down and be able to purchase something that's plenty of space for what we needed. Is it perfect? No, but we don't need it to be. It's a small engine repair company. You're not selling consumer electronics or insurance or something like that. You don't need to look like $1 million or have a location that looks like that to do the things that we do. Back to location, because location for me is one of the biggest ones. We were in Normal, now we're in Bloomington. It's just they're kind of sister cities. I still wanted to stay in Normal, but I couldn't find anything that I could afford there that was what I wanted. After looking for about 6 or 8 months and going into something that we couldn't build out in Bloomington, I still wanted to stay there, but I couldn't find anything that matched. If you can't, sometimes you've got to settle. But again, you don't want to settle for something that's small or in the wrong location where you've got to move every year or two, or you can't fulfill your lease, or you can't continue to grow your business. You want room to grow your business if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to stay put and just get you somewhere off the beaten path, that's fine. There's many commercial locations that are great that aren't really a retail location. They're more warehouse district type things. You can get into those. But make sure if you're doing pickup and delivery and stuff, you want something central. Where are your customers at? Are they going to come to you? Are you going to go to them? All things that need to be thought about as far as location, because location to me was really key. We're on a main business route here. We're on a main highway. That means that we get lots of traffic by here every day. We've got a billboard on the property. Usually they don't put billboards up if people aren't driving by constantly, right? Look for those high traffic locations. Make sure that if you're wanting retail, that's where you're located. Even in a rural area, if people see your location as they're driving by, they're way more likely to stop in. They're going to say, hey, who are these new guys? And especially if they're upset with their current repair company, are they going to stop in? If they're not upset with their current repair company or they're not unhappy, they're not going to go searching for another small engine repair company. So unless they stumble upon you by driving by, they're not going to switch. So many places have repair companies that do not have the best ratings, that do not do well with customers. If you're moving into those locations, it's real easy to be off the beaten path and just advertise on Facebook or in local marketplaces, maybe put up some signs somewhere, and maybe you'll draw in all those customers. But most places it's going to be much more difficult. If those companies are keeping their customers happy, it's hard to get those customers to switch to something or somebody they don't know and possibly deal with an issue or somebody that's incompetent or overcharges or is unethical. Customers are strange. You've got to be sure to make sure the building that you're moving into does give the customer a good perception of what your business is. I say you don't have to make it look like $1 million, but you also don't want it looking like a junkyard or looking like it's something where you're not going to be able to fix anything. Perception is huge with customers. You want to give them a good feeling about where they're going to get their stuff fixed, and they'll keep coming back. But you won't ever bring them in the door if your building and your location looks like it should not be a small engine repair company. It should be a junkyard, or it should be something else, or the building shouldn't even be still standing. Those are things you've really got to look at. So make sure if you're renting from a landlord or whatever, that if the location looks like that, they can upgrade that before you move in to make sure you make the right choice. Don't make the wrong choice with something like this. It's very important that you look full into what you're doing as you make this huge step. It's gonna control where your business goes for the next 10 years or however long you're running it. It's going to control the trajectory of your life because this is the place you're going to work. You're going to spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day there every day. How far away is it from your home? Do you want to drive 45 minutes to go to work and come home from work every day? Probably not. I don't want to drive much more than 15 or so. So I'm looking at somewhere just right around my general area. Hopefully I can find that. If not, I'll have to drive a little further. I do live in Normal, so I drive about 15 or 20 minutes to get here every morning. Same thing at night, but that's not bad. 45 minutes or so if you've got to go to a different location or you choose a further out location, then you're further away from the customer base too, right? You don't want to have to, if you're offering pickup and delivery, you don't want to have to drive that extra to and from each time you're going to these customers until you build a new customer base. If you've already got that established, great, you know where that base is. If you haven't yet, it's a little easier to go kind of outside of your area and establish there. Hopefully this helps you out as you're in your quest to buy or to rent or to lease or to grow your business as you look for a commercial location. I think many of us probably are just operating out of garages or out of warehouses somewhere off the beaten path before we go commercial. And that's fine. Build your customer base. That's what I did for years. The way I'm doing it now as we're going to Clarksville is a little bit different. I'm just kind of jumping in the market. So that's a little bit different approach. If you're doing like a small business loan or SBA loan or whatever it is just to get a business going somewhere and you don't really have a clientele yet, you just have the knowledge to do it, that's great. You can make a few of those decisions a little bit differently since you don't already have a customer base. But again, make sure it's something great. Make sure it's going to be able to propel you to the next level to continue to grow that business and be great in what you do. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.